Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. Brock Lesnar is once again the Universal Champion. The New Day are the Smackdown Live Tag Team Champions. The club is causing chaos all over the place, and I'm starting to feel like it's 2015 all over again, because even though Extreme Rules might have been okay in your opinion, the WWE set themselves up to really give us a show to prove that they are thinking about going in a different direction. A show to prove that they are going to make some sort of a change, with Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman coming in as the new EDs for both shows. But what we get is the same old bullshit that we have been sitting through for the last couple of years, and there is no change in sight just yet, and we are here to talk about it right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare, and you are watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's Extreme Rules 2019 review and reaction show. It's time to bring the hammer down. Let's do it.
Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
Oh, shut up, Mr. Nightmare. You don't know what you're talking about. You're just an AEW fanboy. Why don't you go watch Fight for the Fallen and go play with Cody Rhodes' balls? Blah, 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 blah.
I don't think so, fuckers. If you are going to come at me with any of that shit, because I am about to unload a bunch of truth onto you guys about why this show isn't as good as everybody else seems to think it is, I would like to direct your attention to the screen that you see right here. Because I am just as ruthless and brutal on these guys as I would be on any WWE show, especially one like tonight's Extreme Rules. So if you miss this hammering of everything wrong with Fight for the Fallen, take all of your "you're an AEW guy" bullshit and stick it in your ass, and you could start by watching this video to prove yourselves wrong with your analysis of me, because I'm going to tell you that Extreme Rules was an extreme bullshit show. There was nothing extreme about it except for the amount of disappointment that I was left with. They really did have an opportunity with each and every one of the matches on the main card tonight to prove to us that, you know what, maybe we are going to swing things in a whole new direction, shake things up a little bit. We got the TV deal coming with Fox in the fall. We got AEW nipping at our boots. So maybe we're going to shake things up and show the fans that we're going to make some changes. But instead we get nothing but the same old shit. And we get illogical decisions and things that will immediately piss me off. I already had about 1,000 points off of this show just based off of the fact that they wanted to put the Intercontinental Championship match on the pre-show. Now, I don't give a shit what two superstars were fighting over an Intercontinental Championship anywhere on any show in the world. Putting it on a pre-show is disrespectful to that championship. It is a slap in the face to both of the competitors that are going to go out there and compete over this treasured, beloved title that the fans hold dear to their hearts, that the wrestlers themselves have an affinity for, and you're going to shit all over it by giving us a short-ass match for the Intercontinental Championship between Shinsuke Nakamura and Finn Balor. And not only are you going to have this championship matchup, but you are going to have a championship change hands. A championship the magnitude of the Intercontinental Championship between two superstars the likes of Nakamura and Balor. And we are going to make a title change on the pre-show. If you were going to do that, you would have been better off having me be pissed off about it happening on Smackdown Live. At least that would have had a little bit more respect than what they did here tonight. This was an impromptu matchup announced earlier on in the day that I didn't even see the announcement. I'm sitting here watching the pre-show and they announced this match and I'm like, what? What? Why would they do this? Do they really hate Finn Balor that much? Do they not value the Intercontinental Championship at all? Is it because they're giving it to Shinsuke that they don't deem it worthy of being on the main card? What the hell, you guys? What kind of thinking is this? Why are we watching this on a pre-show, but we got time to see R-Truth and the 24/7 I'm a Clown Avocado Championship? We got time for that nonsense. Where's Hornswoggle? We got time for this shit. But we don't got time for an Intercontinental Championship match? And even when you do give them time, what was that match, like 5 minutes? Tops? What the hell, man? So I took this and I tried to make the best out of the situation. I'm thinking, well, at the very least, they freed up Finn Balor to take a spot next to AJ Styles and join the club. And maybe Finn Balor is going to play a part in tonight's title change with AJ Styles and Ricochet. But certainly they didn't want to do that. They didn't want to do anything fucking interesting there either. AJ Styles and Ricochet go out there, put on a hell of a match. It definitely was not as good as I was expecting, but I'm also expecting a rematch at SummerSlam, so it's very possible that they were holding back a little bit. You can kind of feel it at parts, but it had a tremendous upside. It was a great match. It really was. It could have been much better, but it was a great match. But there was nothing to it. Like, why take the title from Finn if not to insert him into this? Or at least have a plan for him? Or did you just make this random title change for no reason? They probably don't even have a direction for Shinsuke as the champion. Why would they do this? I don't understand it. Why not do anything interesting? Drew Gulak and Tony Nese were given the same respect. It's a Cruiserweight Championship matchup. These matchups for the Cruiserweight title have been better than most of the stuff you see on the main roster. And the Cruiserweight title just can't make the main card. Oh, well, you can't have every show on the main card. You can if you nix the fucking pre-show. Nix that useless pre-show. Who's listening to these clowns babbling on about what you're about to see tonight anyway? We're all just waiting for the matches if you're watching the pre-show anyway. So you might as well cut all that shit out, start the show a half hour earlier, and include these shows on the match, on the card rather. Include these matches on the card. That's how pissed off they get me with this fucking thinking that they have. At the very least, I came away happy that Drew Gulak is still the Cruiserweight champion. I'm very high on Drew Gulak. I told you guys many times that he's got such a charisma and his character is great. He got a big pop, probably because it was his hometown. He is from Philadelphia. And it's great to see this guy. He's really coming to his own, and he's one of the best competitors in the 205 division. And he's deserving of this championship reign. But now we get to the main card. And while I am very appreciative of the fact that they got the Roman Reigns, Undertaker, Shane, Drew McI-don't-give-a-shit match out of the way right from the get-go, I still didn't give two shits about this match. I didn't care about the Graveyard Dogs versus the Mac and Mac connection. I didn't want to see Shane McMahon hopping and bopping around, dropping buckets of sweat all over the ring, dripping all over Drew McIntyre. But on a positive note, which we don't usually get when we talk about these particular individuals, with the exception of The Undertaker made this match very good. Why? Well, not because Roman Reigns was in it, not because he got his vengeance of some sort on Shane McMahon, but because The Undertaker has looked the best he has looked in years. He looked fresh, he looked agile, he was hitting spots, leg drops, he was walking the tightrope, doing the old school. The guy didn't seem to miss a beat. And what I'm saying is, what I've been saying all along about The Undertaker, stop giving him assholes like Goldberg to fight, and give him these young kids, or the younger generation. They're not so much kids, but guys like Drew McIntyre. Based off of what we've seen tonight between The Undertaker and Drew McIntyre, I am much more interested in seeing them face off at SummerSlam if that is indeed the plan. There was that one shot that was absolute cinematic magic. It might have been accidental for all we know. But The Undertaker was sitting there rolling his eyes back, rest in peace, with the throat cut, and then slowly in the background, Drew McIntyre rises up from out of fucking nowhere, setting up for that Claymore kick. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful moment. It actually gave me chills for a second. And I was like, you know what? This is kind of cool. I can get behind this if they remove the Shane McMahon element. We don't need any more sweat making things more wet and juicy. Everything is as juicy as it needs to be. take Roman Reigns away from this, take Shane McMahon away from this, and based off of what we've seen, like I said, I'm interested now to see the Taker take on the Scottish Psychopath. It might be really good. The Undertaker looked great. And if you could walk away saying that, I'm going to take that as a win. It's the best thing to come out of this matchup. Otherwise, we had Elias getting involved. And the other best thing about this matchup, Shane McMahon taking the tombstone from the Undertaker. And you can literally, if you look back at it, watch as Shane McMahon's cranium hits the canvas. You can see the sweat explode from his head. I digress. Anyway, Shane McMahon got somewhat of a comeuppance tonight. But here, in something else we could point out that is wrong with this equation, is I don't understand why Kevin Owens didn't play a factor in this matchup. Oh, well, we don't want to do that. We want to have Kevin Owens come out and kill Dolph Ziggler off for us, because fuck Dolph Ziggler, you're fired. I would hope to be fired if I was Dolph Ziggler. What did he sign his name to that contract renewal for? Just for the fucking millions of dollars he's guaranteed over how many fucking years he's gonna be there? Now he's trapped as a prisoner, and he's made to look like an absolute buffoon. A complete jackass. Dolph Ziggler. He is worthless now. He was on the verge of something. He finally stopped crying all over the place. He was making it more wet than Shane McMahon. With all his tears, man, it should have been me, wah, wah. And now I was thinking we're going to transition him to a feud with Kevin Owens. And he gets flattened. He gets squashed. He gets murdered. You want to talk about the word bury? I don't know how much further down deep they could bury Dolph Ziggler. The man lost in 15 seconds, tops. Why was this necessary? So that Kevin Owens can cut a promo on Shane McMahon? Why couldn't he have come out and cost Shane McMahon the match here, and we wouldn't have had to see Dolph Ziggler at all, let alone make him come out and look like a complete fucking clown? Why do that? I definitely predicted in the prediction show that Kevin Owens was going to be a factor in this matchup. That was definitely not the case. The match itself was entertaining at points. It had a little bit of drama to it, but like I said, going in, my investment was very small. I really did not care about what was going to happen one way or another. Nothing was at stake. It's not like if Shane lost, he was going to be removed from the company. We didn't have any weird shenanigans like the Undertaker turning on Roman Reigns or anything stupid like that, so we'll just have to move forward with it from there. Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch cut a fucking promo, and I wanted to cut my wrists, because when these two guys start talking now, it is just complete nonsense. Nonsensical stuff. My alliteration was a little off there. I can't stomach it. They've taken two people that I have had an affection for over the last couple of years on their rise to the top, and have made me completely want them to go away. I don't give a shit. Becky Lynch is standing there talking about if they made a statue of Lacey Evans, pigeons would poop on it. This is what you got them saying in the back. You'd be better off cutting the promo altogether. Who gives a shit? All this nonsense. Oh, we're a couple, but we're not lovey-dovey. Get out of here. Gives a shit. They announced that there's going to be a Raw reunion show, and I laughed. I laughed the most heartiest laugh of them all, because this is the biggest thing, the most WWE thing the WWE has ever done. Ratings are in the fucking tank. The current crop is not getting it done because they're not being given proper stuff to get people involved and invested in. So we're going to call up Stone Cold, and we're going to probably try to get The Rock, and Ric Flair's going to be in town, and we're going to bring back all the biggest fucking names so that everybody tunes into Monday Night Raw and then throws up all over themselves because they're going to do some stupid shit with all the people you love the most. Have a great fucking Raw. That's 2 weeks from now. We got the Raw Tag Team Championships on the line. The Revival versus the Usos. What do I tell you guys every time? This was a good match. This, as far as the work rate goes between these two teams, no two teams get in the ring and really do it any better. Their chemistry with each other is fantastic. But how many times have we seen this now? Seriously. Then you have the Revival come out on top over the Usos, which is not what I predicted. I thought we were going to go in a different direction. I figured there was no other reason to bring the Usos to Monday Night Raw. Oh, but the brand split is dead anyway, which brings up another point I wanted to make. Why are they making mention of which shows belong to which matches? Oh, well, we're going to move over to the Raw side of things. And every single program that we've been watching tonight has been spread across both shows. What does it matter what fucking match belongs to what brand? You don't even care what superstar belongs to what brand. Now you're going to give a shit about this. The Revival retains the tag team championships with the Shatter Machine. Next up on the docket, Aleister Black versus Cesaro. I maintain that this match would have been elevated to a whole nother level if the surprise element of Cesaro was kept secret until the minute his entrance music played. Do you know how much harder the Philadelphia fans would have popped if Aleister Black was standing out there after making his whole ha 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 entrance coming up from the darkness and the smoke, and then he's waiting, somebody pick a fight with me, come on, I heard you knock on the door, who is it? And then Cesaro's music hits, Cesaro comes out, Mike Rome announces him, and it's fucking great. And it would have been great. You didn't need to ruin this with only 4 days to go before the pay-per-view. It would have had a completely different feel to it, and I think it would have been better. Another thing where the WWE failed and I believe did something wrong. While, again, I'm appreciative of the fact that they gave Aleister Black a clean win on his first singles match in a big spotlight like a pay-per-view, the guy definitely deserves to come out on top. However, the current rise of Cesaro is something that they should have felt is important as well. And a match like this, and when you watch this match, it was magic. It was really, really beautifully done. And it went for a nice long amount of time. This was maybe my favorite match of the night. There was no extreme stipulation to it, and it didn't need it. But what it did need was a time limit. And if these two guys wrestled for 20 minutes the way they were going, and the clock expired on the match, how much more excited would you be? Think about it. You guys watched it. You know how good that match was. Imagine there was no winner. And it was clean. There was no shenanigans. There was no double count out or double DQ. These guys just went at it for 20 minutes and then the clock stopped and nobody was able to get the win. You would be amped up for a SummerSlam rematch between these two. But now instead they gave the win already to Aleister Black. They have somewhat diminished some of the momentum that Cesaro has gained for himself since separating himself from Sheamus, thanks to the injury that Sheamus is currently working on to try to get back, I would suppose. He finally got his own entrance music. He's going out there and he's killing it when they're giving him the opportunity to. That would have been the proper way to go about this. That's how you book professional wrestling. That's why even though Aleister Black got the win, and even though this was a fucking great match, there was one point where Cesaro, this guy is a beast. He defies logic. He caught Aleister Black by the knees on his shoulders after this 6-foot-plus man launched himself from the top rope and then shoved him up and elevated him up for that falling European uppercut. It was breathtaking. There was lots of stuff in this matchup. And then, before you know it, Cesaro would get caught with the black mass pretty much out of nowhere, and it was a great, great matchup. Aleister Black gets the win. Could have been made better, as I told you guys, but we have to take the good wherever we could find it, and you have to say that you can't really say too much negative about that matchup, although I still believe my idea was better. After this, we got the R-Truth chase for Hornswoggle, which took up way too much time. If this was where you wanted to place the Street Profits on the Extreme Rules card, then you are a fucking idiot. I'm sorry for using that language, but the Street Profits are fantastic. And the WWE, when they use these stars from NXT in ridiculous ways Just like in this stupid 24/7 segment that turned into an Alexa Bliss segment that just turned into a stupid segment in the back. Leading into the SmackDown Live Women's Championship matchup, I didn't give a shit. Did you? No, you got time for this, but you couldn't find a spot for the IC title match. I don't think so. Bayley versus Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss for the SmackDown Women's Championship. This was a boring-ass match. And once again, it may not have been any fault of their own, but the whole reason for this matchup being booked screamed for the return of Sasha Banks. But obviously, tonight was not boss time. And I've heard that she broke her nose training over in Japan recently, Sasha Banks. And you can't help but feel like maybe that's what they were going to do, and now this unfortunately happened, so they had to scrap everything, which makes everything come off really, really awkward. How good does it make either Alexa or Nikki Cross look? No matter what you feel about them, these are two women that went out there and got beat by one. Like, that's not a good look. If you ask me, it's definitely not a good look for Nikki Cross. The only part of this match that I enjoyed was the one spot where Bayley had both Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross in two separate submission maneuvers at the same time, utilizing one move for Alexa on the upper body and her lower body to have some sort of a leg lock in on Nikki Cross. That was very cool. It was very cool. You don't see that very much, and I was hoping that this was going to be a better showcase for Bayley. And I guess they did the best they could. Alexa actually got involved at points, which I was surprised at. I thought we were going to see her play that stupid heel that just won't get into the match at all. She didn't really help Nikki Cross towards the end of this matchup after Nikki Cross tagged Alexa Bliss and then came off the top rope into a knee by Bayley, and then Bayley went up for that elbow drop, which she emulates from Randy Savage, for the win. And I would like to say this one thing to Bayley. I would stop doing the elbow drop. Stop it. Not because you don't do it good or anything like that, but you got Io Shirai on the roster doing way better things like that. You got Kairi Sane also doing the insane elbow, which is a thing of beauty. And when you have all these other superstars pulling off this move, and they do it in such a beautiful fashion, maybe it's something that you should scrap. I don't care whether or not you did it first, but these other girls, they do it better. And makes yours look kind of sloppy by comparison. And maybe you get your own moves. Like the belly to belly maybe was the way to go, instead of finishing this off with an elbow drop. But that's just me nitpicking at this point. But where I'm not going to be nitpicking is during the Braun Strowman, Bobby Lashley, Boring Trashly, the almighty milk dud, last man standing falls count anywhere until the Extreme Rules expire till the end of time match. I told you guys on the Raw review, I told you guys on the preview and prediction show, I don't give a rat's ass if these two monsters battled their way out of the arena, up to the top, off of a fucking helicopter, through space and time itself, ending up in the Matt Hardy verse or at the Wyatt compound and then exploding down everything that they touched with their very fingertips, and Braun Strowman's breath blew down the entirety of the capacity of the audience. I don't care. They overbooked this matchup to make everybody just sit there and ooh and ah. And while there were a couple of solid spots that did make me go, yikes, well, that fucking probably hurt, man. Like the one spot that really sticks out is when Braun Strowman launched Bobby Lashley into the souvenir stand. And the guy almost landed head first like Shane McStuntman did back in the day when Kurt Angle was throwing him into the King of the Ring set. He almost landed straight on his milk dud cranium. Would have cracked it wide open and we would have seen all the caramel oozing out. Fortunately, that was not the case. I didn't give a shit about this match. The only reason this match got over at all with the crowd is because they were in Philadelphia. These numbskulls decided to chant ECW. How disrespectful to ECW is this? We go through this whole fucking journey. These guys are getting speared through barricades. They're doing all kinds of crazy spots. And then the finish of the match, Braun Strowman power slams Bobby Lashley off of the second tier or something. I don't know. You know why I can't really describe it to you? Because we couldn't see shit. Braun Strowman took a dive off a ledge and descended into the darkness. Nobody could see shit. You know who else couldn't see shit? The fucking referee couldn't see shit. So what the fuck is he counting for? And then Braun Strowman reveals himself from the rubble like Godzilla clearing his way through the Tokyo cities of Japan. And this numbskull referee's fucking counting. You can't even see Bobby Lashley. What if he fucking landed on his feet? What if he's propped up by a fucking mop in the back? What if he's sitting there on a fucking table just waiting for Braun Strowman to come back around? Where was Bobby Lashley? We didn't fucking see him. The ref certainly didn't see him. Who is he counting out? He was counting out both competitors. He didn't know whether or not they were fighting in the rubble in the back. He's just assuming these guys went down and are splattered on the floor there. But these are two monsters, right? Look at everything else they survived. How the fuck does he know if they're still on the floor or not? Because we can't see. And if we can't see, that means he can't see. So why is he counting? Oh, it was so great. Oh, but it was so good. It was so action-packed. It was so garbage. I had no reason to care. Going into this match, I have zero feelings for Braun Strowman. I've never had a single feeling in my body for Bobby Lashley. And I didn't give a shit about this overblown, overdrawn matchup that was given way too much time. And way too much attention. I don't care. You think this is over? This ain't over. What else are they going to be able to make these two guys do? They did false count anywhere. They did last man standing. Where do you go from here? Inside a cage? Are you going to give a shit if these two just have a straight off wrestling match now? What the fuck is left for these two to do? Who cares? And then you see people jumping all on the Braun Strowman bandwagon because Braun Strowman was the last man standing tonight. Everybody all of a sudden is a Braun Strowman fan again. Oh, Braun Strowman, look, it was so good. Wake up, people. This is the same fucking Braun Strowman that we've been seeing for years. If you think this is going to elevate him to anything, then you're out of your mind. What, you want to see Braun Strowman versus Brock fucking Lesnar again? You want to see that disaster piece? No, thank you. Triple threat tag team matchup for the SmackDown Live Tag Team Championships. Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan, the Planet's champions, taking on the New Day's Big E and Xavier Woods, and Heavy Machinery, Tucky and Otis. This was a good tag team matchup. It was nowhere near as good as the AEW Triple Threat tag team matchup last night at Fight for the Fallen. And no, goons, I'm not marking out on AEW. It's just a statistical fact. Alright, that match had me on the edge of my seat from the beginning to the end, even though I did not find myself particularly fond of the Dark Order tag team that was involved there. Tonight's match between these three tag teams in the WWE was very good. It was good. But if you want to compare the two, no comparison. And the WWE chooses to have a title change here. We got title changes pretty much all night long, and they take the belts off of Daniel Bryan and Rowan, who have been just fine as tag team champions. I don't know what else they could possibly do with them at this point. They haven't really built anybody up as formidable challengers to them other than Heavy Machinery. The New Day has always just kind of been there. Heavy Machinery is the new flavor of the month. Heavy Machinery's got the attention of the fans, and while maybe they didn't really deserve to be placed in this spotlight, much like I say about Lacey Evans, at the very least, these cats can go in the ring. They've been entertaining. They have gotten themselves over with some of their comedy antics, and they're not the worst thing in the world. They are an actual tag team Not two random superstars teamed together, not two members of a faction that are also mix and matching tag teams here and there. They are a straight up tag team. And I think this was the choice. If you were going to take the belts off of the Planet's champions, it should have been placed around the big steak-eating wastes of Heavy Machinery. But instead, we give it back to the New Day. Why? Why? So that you could pretty much tell us that Samoa Joe is definitely not going to lose the champion... he's not going to win the championship tonight from Kofi Kingston. You're telling us Kofi Kingston's not going to lose to Samoa Joe? Because what would be the point in giving it to the New Day if not to just have the three of them hold the championships at the same time? It may be something historic. It's probably the first time a faction that is consisted of only three men of color in a minority are going to be the top champions of their both respective divisions, and maybe it's something cool like that, but don't you feel like it's just a little bit old school? And not in the good way. So more, instead of old school, more like old news. Like we're going around this merry-go-round again. Now we're going to have to see some pancake-flipping, fucking horn-wearing, trumpet-blowing celebration on fucking Smackdown. Or probably tomorrow, because there is no brand split anymore. This was the wrong choice. So again, while the action in this match was good, while it was given enough time and it was entertaining, the finish and the winners make you know for sure that the WWE has no balls and they're scared to make changes. They're scared to go with anything new, even when the crowd's sitting there screaming for it. And you can't tell me I'm wrong. Paul Heyman came out, claimed his name was Philadelphia. He's like, my name is Paul Heyman, and I am Philadelphia. You know what the guy means. He means he is Philadelphia. I get it. I am the entire concept of extreme, he says. And he gives us the teasing of Brock Lesnar being at Extreme Rules and cashing in the Money in the Bank tonight, which at this point he has teased so much that nobody believed, so we all should have automatically assumed that Brock Lesnar was going to cash in one way or the other. I thought it was going to be in a different direction, and we will get to that in just a little bit. Ricochet versus AJ Styles for the United States Championship. Very good match. AJ Styles wins this thing with a reverse Styles clash off the middle rope. And like I was talking about earlier, I just really feel like this match could have been much greater than what it was. And with SummerSlam in the distance on the horizon, you have to believe that this is going to be the ongoing program, because it's only really a couple of weeks. What is it, 3-4 weeks from now? And that they're going to build towards this rematch. And it's going to be even better at SummerSlam. At least that's what I can hope. This match did not have an extreme stipulation. We seen the club get involved before the match even started, trying to give AJ the early advantage. If it wasn't for the club's Carl Anderson at one point pulling AJ Styles' leg underneath the bottom rope, we may have had a different outcome. The club definitely did play a part in the finish of this matchup, as AJ Styles, now for the third time, has claimed the United States Championship in the WWE. But I feel like my expectations of something really cool happening, like seeing the inclusion of Finn Balor in the Balor Club, or in the club, was a missed opportunity. This was the night to do it. You even had some foreshadowing of it. You had AJ Styles in an interview, pre-match rather, say, oh, what, you think just because I lost to Ricochet, that's why I have the Bullet Club here? And now here we are sitting with Finn Balor, suffering a loss to Shinsuke Nakamura for an Intercontinental Championship. He could sit there and say the same thing. He's like, oh, you think just because I lost? And you could just make that a thing. You could even give it to your opponents as a thing to tease them with. All right, both of these guys joined up with this club after they lost major championship opportunities. You could use that as ammunition in your promos. Because, we shouldn't make these guys in the back write it, because they write absolute trash. So why don't you guys take a run at it? That's what I wish would happen. We'd probably get a whole lot better promos. But this was an entertaining match. I'm looking more forward to the rematch. Like I said, it definitely was not as good as I anticipated. It was kind of slow, I felt, at times, but still pretty entertaining in the end. Some top-notch wrestling, some really entertaining spots. Both of these guys are physical specimens on a whole nother atmosphere than any one of us breathing air on this planet. So I give them nothing but respect for this matchup. The storytelling by the company that employs them, however, leaves a lot to be desired. Case in point, Dolph Ziggler versus Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens wins with a stunner in 15 seconds. All for Kevin Owens to cut a promo saying that he wants Shane McMahon. Why are you actively looking to have this man removed, but now you want him? Why? Because you want to be the man to take him off WWE TV? If that is truly the cause, then I can truly get behind Kevin Owens. I'm already behind Kevin Owens because he's saying everything that they're reading on social media about what we're saying about Shane McMahon, and they're turning it into TV. And everybody's sitting there watching going, oh, listen to that pipe bomb. Ain't no fucking pipe bomb. That's Twitter on a Monday night. That's Twitter on a fucking Tuesday. Check it out. He said he expected to be suspended tonight after what he did on Smackdown Live, but because Shane got extinguished by the Undertaker's tombstone, that definitely wasn't a possibility. He got the chance to tell Shane McMahon to kiss his ass once again, and then he left, effectively leaving no trace of a new pipe bomb. He didn't say anything that dramatic. He didn't say anything to get you all amped up. If you got excited about him saying the same thing he said last time we seen him say some shit about Shane McMahon, good for you. I don't like to hear the same things over and over again. But that's just me being a picky asshole. But that's what we do here, ladies and gentlemen. If it's your first time here, maybe you don't know that. But for the rest of you guys, you know where we're going. You know where we've been. And we're just getting started as we're coming down to the end of this match, of this show, rather. Kofi Kingston versus Samoa Joe. We touched upon a little bit already why Kofi Kingston won this matchup. I kind of expected, most of us expected Kofi Kingston not to lose. Samoa Joe has been a perennial loser on the WWE forever. Samoa Joe has lost all 8 of his championship opportunities on pay-per-view since joining the company over 2 years ago. You want to talk about jobber status? This guy is an absolute beast of a man. The list of accomplishments that he has to his name prior to WWE would make the most accomplished wrestler jealous. And you got this guy featured as a monster, put in high-profile situations, big-time championship matches, and coming up short every single time. Guys reminded me of a modern-day Roddy Piper. Guy can go out there, he can talk on the stick, he can talk these people into the seats, he can really get under the skin of his opponent, but then when he gets to the ring and fights the guy, he just always ends up coming up short. Even though he destroyed Kofi Kingston's fingers by smashing it between the 2 steel steps, thanks all to say thank you for his middle finger gesture on SmackDown Live, which I thought was a nice little thing to throw into this matchup. I thought that was going to give Joe the edge, and possibly we were going to see Joe win the championship, only to set up for a match for Joe at SummerSlam, possibly with the Beast Brock Lesnar, possibly a rematch with Kofi Kingston. Excuse me. But that's not what we got. We got Samoa Joe dominating this matchup for the majority of it, and then getting hit with one Trouble in Paradise kick after literally being all over Kofi Kingston for the entirety of this matchup, coming very close on a couple of occasions to locking in the Coquina Clutch. And one kick to the face and the head of a Samoan. Do you know how wrong that is? Do you know how hard the head of a Samoan is? I'm just saying, I'm talking wrestling, people. If you know your wrestling history, you know one of the hardest things in professional wrestling is not the edge of a sledgehammer. It's not the backside of a chair. It is the head of any Samoan wrestler you will get into the ring with. But one kick by the Trouble in Paradise is enough to slay the Samoan submission machine. 1, 2, 3. After literally dangling Kofi Kingston like he was nothing for a majority of this matchup. Something wrong with the way that was booked. And this is where most of us believed Brock Lesnar was going to cash in the Money in the Bank contract. And I think I would have been a little bit more accepting of it only because it wouldn't have been another run with the Universal Championship on Monday Night Raw for him to stay away with the belt with. It would have been something different. It would have been a different destination for Brock Lesnar because we all know they want him on SmackDown by the time they get to Fox. So I figured this would be, if he was going to cash in tonight, this would be the way to do it. And get the WWE Championship so that he'd be positioned on SmackDown Live. At the very least, I thought he wouldn't do it tonight. We would see the cash-in at SummerSlam on the WWE Champion, not the Universal Champion, for the exact same reason. But apparently, WWE's not worried about that type of stuff. They're just going to revert back to the old and go back to what they were doing when we hated this shit 2 years ago and give Brock Lesnar back the Universal Championship, which is what followed the final match of the night, Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch versus Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans for the Universal and Women's Championship from Monday Night Raw. In an Extreme Rules tag team matchup where Michael Cole wants to point out that the rules of this matchup. Now, as soon as that sentence is said, I want to smack him in the face because Extreme Rules is effectively means no rules, does it not? But this is an Extreme Rules match with a couple of rules. So we allow Michael Cole to set the parameters where the men have to face the men, the women have to face the women. So we still will have to have a tag involved in this matchup, which immediately is just like, then why are we having this matchup? Because it doesn't make sense. You're going to have these other people on the apron. This is an extreme situation. They can go and just attack each other on the outside. Why not just make it a tornado tag with the caveat of you can't touch the member of the opposite sex and then just have all this action going on the way you planned it anyway? While some of this stuff was pretty entertaining as far as Extreme Rules goes, they brought out the chairs and the kendo sticks, and there were a couple of interesting spots. I did like the double spot through the tables by Becky and Seth. The big problem with this whole entire match was pretty much the fact that it was happening. I just don't understand the parameters surrounding what was the rules of this Extreme Rules matchup, because you said all this shit at the beginning that they have to tag and they can't touch each other, and even Seth Rollins or Baron Corbin, they can't even pin. They can't even go for a pin on the member of the opposite sex. But meanwhile, you got Becky Lynch giving Van Daminators to Baron Corbin. You got Lacey Evans, bam, 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 with the fucking kendo stick all over Seth Rollins. Then you get Baron Corbin delivering an end of days to Becky Lynch, which is so upsetting to her beau, Seth Rollins, that the man snapped. He absolutely snapped and recovered almost fully and delivered 3 consecutive stomps to the bald, stupid dickhead of Baron Corbin, ending this all finally for us. There was one point in the matchup where Baron Corbin did hit a very, very dramatic deep 6 on the Universal Champion that was broken up by Becky Lynch. So I was immediately worried that automatically we're going to start Monday Night Raw with Constable Dickhead Baron Baldy Corbin coming out there saying he really won the match if it hadn't been for Becky Lynch and blah, blah, blah. But then we had the Beast Brock Lesnar come out, and he cashes in on Seth Rollins, who, even though just went through this completely physical, this exhausting and somewhat decent Extreme Rules matchup, the guy's standing there all adrenalized. He's fired up and he's pissed off because this guy just wrecked his girl right in front of his face. His adrenaline is pumping and flowing and he's mad. He's definitely not at a disadvantage, if you ask me, but we're talking about Brock Lesnar, so he can come out there and attack even the freshest of the freshmen and just probably decimate them with just as much ease as he took out Seth Rollins. But I'm saying to you guys, Seth Rollins should have put up a little bit more of a fight. You know, the guy cashed in. He tried to gain the advantage at the beginning. Seth Rollins put up a little bit of a fight, but before you know it, this was over. This is the guy that slayed the beast. He went toe-to-toe with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania and burned him down. I was there. I seen it live. I know it happened. And all the work they did leading up to that moment, at this moment tonight, is immediately washed away. So now he's the Beast Slayer who just got slayed by the Beast when he cashed in the Money in the Bank contract. And I'm asking why. I just don't understand. What is the trajectory of Brock Lesnar now? We're going to get a fucking rematch with Seth Rollins again? A WrestleMania rematch? At SummerSlam, Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins? We don't have a Money in the Bank contract holder now for the rest of the year. And what's going to happen? Where could they possibly want to go with this? There were still so many things wrong with this show that anybody out there that's sitting there just flipping their shit, telling you how great this was, is completely out of touch themselves and they don't even know what they are watching. They're so desperate for change that they're not realizing that the only reason they're accepting this show as it is because there's no fucking commercials that have to be worried about. We're not being forced into 2 out of 3 falls matches. The shows on a weekly basis have become so shitty that even a shitty pay-per-view feels like it's great because it just flows like a wrestling show. Don't allow that shit to fool you. Look a little bit deeper. Listen to what I'm telling you. I highlighted everything wrong with this show. All of the things that they did in an improper manner. And you cannot sit there and tell me that what I said any way, shape, or form was a lie. Why some of these things are my opinion, most of them are fact. And that's why I am here, to try to clear the fog in your heads, because some of you guys are sitting there trying to figure out what the fuck you just watched. Allow me to explain by watching these videos. And I thank you all for being here for another edition. This is the second of a 1-2 punch you guys got today as we came out heavy and hard, sticking the jab with our AEW Fight for the Fallen review, and now we came in with a heavy right hook and knocked it out of the park with this review of Extreme Rules. Thank you once again for watching all the way to this moment. If you are still here and you enjoyed anything that we said or did here today, if you agree, disagree, or whatever, for whatever reason you feel, you hit that thumbs up and let me know that you enjoyed today's show. Hit that share button as well and let this video be spread like a virus. Not an actual computer virus, because that would be fucked up. But let this video go viral, baby, because this is one of the best reviews I have ever done. Everybody is out there talking about how great this show is, and we need to enlighten them and tell them the truth. Bring them to the real dark side, the good dark side that we reside in here at my fucking YouTube channel, Sledgehammer TV, which is full of you awesome sledgeheads. Without every one of you guys tuning in, I'm just sitting here like a crazy person, and I cannot thank you guys enough. Don't forget to check out everything else we got on the channel. Let me pull it up for you guys again. The AEW Everything Wrong with Fight for the Fallen. So don't come crying to me, oh, you just want to lick AEW's cock. No, bro. I'm just as bad, if not maybe a little bit worse on them with this Everything Wrong with Fight for the Fallen review, including a rant about Sonny Kiss that you just don't want to miss. And also, we have got our Spider-Man hammering Hollywood review of Far From Home. If you want to know everything that was wrong about this movie, go check it out right now. I'm sure if you like what I brought to you guys here today, you are going to love my point of view as I tell you guys how they ruined the character of Mysterio and did lots of things wrong with Spider-Man Far From Home. Go check those out right now. They will be linked in the annotations up above, as well as the Raw and Smackdown reviews from last week, and anything else you need to cover your pro wrestling needs is right here on your new favorite show. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is Team Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue, the Snowball. The most important member of the team, as always, is each and every one of you. That is going to do it, and we are out of here on a very busy wrestling weekend right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV right here on YouTube.com, and we will see you tomorrow night as we continue to bring the hammer down on Monday Night Raw. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Have a good one.